I didn't wake up because of the knock. I woke up because my house stopped making noise. No hum from the refrigerator, no distant traffic, no settling creaks in the walls. Just a heavy, deliberate quiet, like something had pressed its palm flat against the night and told it to stay still. That was when my phone vibrated on the nightstand. Front porch, motion detected, 2:16 a.m. I stared at the notification longer than I should have. My porch camera was cheap and overly sensitive. It triggered for moths, drifting leaves, sometimes nothing at all. But it had never woken me up like this. I opened the live feed. 2 children were standing on my porch. They were positioned side by side, close enough that their sleeves brushed. They stood just inside the camera's frame, as if they knew exactly where the lens could see. The porch light above them was on, but the light didn't settle on their faces correctly. Their features looked blurred, not from movement, but from indecision, like the camera didn't know how to interpret them. They weren't looking at the camera, they were looking at the door. Behind me, my dog made a sound I'd never heard before. It wasn't a bark, it wasn't a growl. It was a low, breathless noise, like fear being pushed out of his lungs. I turned slowly. He was standing at the end of the hallway, legs locked straight, tail tucked so tight it touched his stomach. His eyes were wide and fixed on the narrow glass panel beside the front door. He didn't blink. I looked back at the feed. The taller child lifted his head slightly, like he'd been waiting for me to notice. "Sir," he said calmly. His voice came through the camera microphone clean and steady, without distortion. "We need help." I didn't answer. The smaller child leaned closer to him and whispered something I couldn't hear. The taller one nodded, then smiled. "Our mother is worried," he added. The sentence felt hollow, rehearsed, like something memorized without understanding. "You should go away," I whispered, even though I knew they couldn't hear me. The taller child's smile didn't change. "We can't," he said, "not until you let us in." The porch light flickered once. When it steadied, I saw their eyes clearly. There was no white, no reflection, just smooth, complete black, like the absence of something important. I dropped the phone. The knock came from the door itself, 3 soft taps, not loud, not urgent, polite. My dog backed away, nails scraping against the hardwood. "I didn't invite you," I said, my voice thin. "You noticed us," the smaller child replied through the door. "That's enough," the taller one added gently. The doorknob turned slowly, not rattled, turned, testing. The hallway lights flickered, then went out. And suddenly they weren't outside anymore. They stood at the far end of my hallway. Too close. The space behind them stretched wrong, like my house had quietly rearranged itself to make room. The hallway looked longer than it ever had, the shadows deeper, heavier. "Thank you," the taller child said. My legs gave out. I slid down the wall, heart hammering. The smaller one ran his fingers along the wall, fascinated. "This house listens," he whispered. My phone buzzed in my hand. Motion detected, hallway. I looked at the screen. The hallway was empty. No children, no movement. Just me, sitting on the floor, staring into nothing. I screamed until my throat burned. I woke up in my bed. Morning light filtered through the blinds. The room smelled normal, quiet. For a few seconds, I convinced myself it had been a nightmare. Then I saw the footprints, small, bare, muddy. They led from the hallway into my bedroom and stopped right beside my bed. My dog was gone. His food bowl was still full, his leash hung by the door, his bed was still warm. But when I opened my phone and searched for photos of him, every image showed empty space where he should have been. A leash floating in mid-air. A blur where a body used to be. I felt dizzy, like my memories had been edited without my permission. I drove to my sister's apartment without calling ahead. She answered the door half asleep, hair tangled, eyes narrowing when she saw me. "You look awful," she said. "I need to stay here," I told her. She laughed lightly. "You need sleep." I didn't argue. That night I slept on her couch with the lights on. At 2:16 a.m. I woke up. They stood in the doorway. The taller one folded his hands calmly. "You came with us," he said. "I didn't invite you," I whispered. "You don't have to," the smaller one replied, smiling. The hallway behind them stretched impossibly long, bending in ways it shouldn't. I lunged for the lamp and snapped it on. They vanished. My sister never woke up. In the morning, she frowned at me over coffee. "You were pacing all night," she said, "talking to yourself." "I wasn't," I said. She watched me carefully. "You should talk to someone." She didn't believe me. No one ever did. I tried a hotel next. Bright lights, cameras, noise, people coming and going at all hours. At 2:16 a.m., 3 taps came from the bathroom mirror. Not the door, the mirror. "Sir," a voice whispered, "we're still here." I ran. I called the police. They asked for footage. There was none. They suggested stress, anxiety, hallucinations. One officer asked if I'd experienced episodes like this before. I stopped talking. The messages started after that. Unknown numbers, always the same time. 2:16 a.m. You left space for us. We're waiting. I blocked them. The knocking moved inside. Walls, floors, ceiling. 3 taps. Always polite, always patient. I noticed my reflection changing. Not all at once. Gradually, my eyes looked darker. Not black. Not yet. The dreams started. They weren't nightmares. They were conversations. "You're quieter now," the taller child would say. "I didn't agree to this," I'd reply. "You didn't resist," he said. One night, I came home and found them sitting at my kitchen table. The chairs were pulled out. The lights were on. They looked comfortable. "We don't knock anymore," the smaller one said proudly. "You don't need doors," the taller added. "You make room." "No one believes me," I whispered. He nodded. "Belief is loud. Comfort is quiet." People said I seemed calmer, detached. My boss told me to take time off. My sister stopped calling as often. I tried showing them my notes. Blank pages, photos changed. My dog never existed. I started forgetting things too. Small things at first, the sound of his bark, the weight of his leash. The final change came quietly. No tapping, no messages. Just a text. "Thank you for waiting." They stood across the room. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," the smaller child said. "No one will notice," the taller added. The pressure behind my eyes grew unbearable. I saw my reflection in my phone screen. My face smiled. I didn't feel it move. My eyes were completely black. Life continued. That was the punishment. I went to work, paid bills, answered questions. When I said I was fine, people believed me, because I sounded normal. Last night at 2:16 a.m., my phone buzzed. A porch camera alert. Not my house, someone else's. 2 children stood there, waiting. The taller one looked into the camera. At me. He smiled, and I heard my own voice whisper softly, steady and polite. "Sir, we need help."